I would just like to start off this video by giving a huge thank you to EA Sports for making this video possible. Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is RBT and welcome back to some more Madden 19 gameplay. As today we're doing what we do every single year, and we're going to be restarting the NFL with a fantasy draft. Hopefully guys do enjoy today's video, and if you do, make sure to drop a like. Be sure to subscribe if you are new, turn on the notification bell if you haven't. But I want to go ahead and start this off by this was wild. I had the 18th pick. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady both were still available, which does bring a talking point for the video, which you'll see in the background who I end up drafting in this fantasy draft until I get back to talking about who I actually draft. So we get Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady was still available. In round 2, Antonio Brown was also still available. So it was apparent to me and from the other people in the room with me that also did fantasy drafts, they changed up the logic when it comes to the fantasy draft, which is 100% was needed, and I'm glad they did that. Age is a big factor when it comes now to teams drafting players in fantasy drafts. So obviously, like a Tom Brady, teams wouldn't draft like in the top 5 because he's more than likely going to retire after the first or second year. So they're going to be more likely to pick younger players, which if a real life fantasy draft actually happened, that would be the case. So that's super dope, because like if you played in the years past, like the top 10 picks were all quarterbacks, and like Tom Brady, like normally the reason I was so shocked, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady the last like 5 years in fantasy drafts would have been gone in the top 5. So when I saw him and Tom Brady both available at round 50 or pick 15 or 16, whatever I had, or 18, I was shocked, absolutely shocked. So I was happy. And guys, keep in mind too, with the way I'm picking, I'm not picking in the sense that I'm trying to build for the future. This is a one-year thing. I'm trying to build the best team possible, the highest overall team possible, with the ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl in year 1. So I'm going all out, even if some of the players are a little bit older, like, you know, a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. I went with Aaron Rodgers because he wasn't as old, but the whole idea was just to get the best team possible. As we finally get a cornerback all the way in like round 7, cornerbacks went really fast, linebackers went fast, and now in round 11 we end up getting Stephon Tuitt. And I do want to say too, after I end the draft, I realized that I messed up in a couple of the rounds. I accidentally simmed. So there's a couple players that I didn't actually pick that ended up on the team, but they actually ended up being pretty helpful. But I wish I would have known I picked them at the time I did, so I didn't waste some other picks. But here we get Josh Sitton trying to help out the O-line. And usually, like last year in fantasy draft, you would have 99 overall offensive linemen available like in round 9 or 10. That wasn't the case this year, which 100% shouldn't be the case, because offensive linemen should be valued higher than they have been in the past when it comes to fantasy draft and in trades in Madden. And this year they finally have offensive linemen valued a little bit higher. But at round 15, there were hardly any good middle linebackers left, as they were all picked. So I had to go with a 75 overall Preston Brown before the overalls got any worse. So into round 16, I end up finishing off, I believe, my offensive line here with 78 overall Morgan Moses. And all the way down into round 20, once again, linebackers weren't looking good for me. Like, all the linebackers were gone, good ones at this point. So we have to end up getting a 74 overall Cam Johnson. So I'm happy with everything else aside from my linebacker core at this point in this draft. But I kind of feel like I got a steal here. 79 overall Eric Armstead. And I tried to go with the players that fit my scheme, like in terms of their archetype. So their highest overall archetype was what my scheme needed. So that's like a thing you guys should take into account this year. As here we ended up getting Brent Grimes. We didn't have that many corners. I know he's 107 years old, but he's at 86 overall. And like I said, we're trying to do this for 1 year. So I went ahead and got him. And once again, went back to back at the cornerback position and got 78 overall Morris Claiborne. And now we actually finish off the offensive line by getting Ben Jones, an actual Tennessee Titan, onto the team. Now in round 25, I didn't have that. I only had 2 wide receivers up to this point. We ended up going and getting Jordan Matthews, who did fit my scheme's archetype. And I feel like that was a solid wide receiver to get in around number 20, as we are actually going to end up going back to back at the wide receiver position. And we end off the wide receivers by getting 77 overall Brandon Coleman, who actually also did fit my scheme. So I think that was the last round that we did draft, and we let the draft sim the rest of the way. And you are going to see some players that, like I said, I didn't mean to pick that ended up being on our team. So looking at the offense, the offensive line I think is pretty solid. Some older guys, but like I said, this is a 1 year thing. Austin Hooper. No, David Njoku. David Njoku was the player that I had no idea that I had on my team, that I guess when I accidentally simmed around, he got picked. So with that being the case, I would have never got Austin Hooper. And on the defensive side of things, Glover Quinn, I don't remember picking up. And I think that was it on the offensive side. But like the linebacker core is the one thing that I was extremely curious about. So we simmed the season. We're up to a 90 overall, and we end up going 13-2-1. Of course, we made the playoffs with my drafting skills. We had the second best record in the NFL. The Browns made the playoffs, which is mental. Every time you see the Browns make the playoffs, you kind of have to double check. But the best record in the NFL went to the Detroit Lions. So it looks like the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFL, with us at number 2. The Patriots and Cowboys had the 2 worst records. We had the best offense in the NFL, and of course, by far, we ended up with the best defense in the NFL as well. So we had the best offense, best defense. I mean, I guess I'm just an absolute incredible drafter. Aaron Rodgers gets the MVP with Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson in the top 10 of the MVP race, which is insane. They both improved up to an 82 overall. And if you guys watch my videos, it doesn't matter who he plays for. Somehow, Blake Bortles always squeezes his way into the top 10 of the MVP race, which is just a wild man, because Blake Bortles isn't the greatest of quarterbacks, but it is what it is. So looking at some of the stats across the NFL, Patrick Mahomes on the Patriots, Lamar Jackson, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks, over 4,000 yards, which is insane. Russell Wilson on the Bengals. Tom Brady ends up going to the New York Giants, which I thought was pretty hilarious. My boy Mariota ends up going to the Browns. Had an okay season. Nick Foles on the Texans. Dak Prescott on the Seahawks. As you see the rest of the quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield, 34 touchdowns, 15 picks. Maybe a couple extra picks than he would want to throw, but still a good season for the rookie quarterback. Now going over to the running stats to see who some of the running backs got drafted by. Le'Veon Bell to the 49ers, of course, was the best running back in the league with Ezekiel Elliott at number 2. And the guy we drafted, Devonta Freeman, ended up being the 3rd best running back in the NFL when it came to yardage. But Darius Guice had the best year out of any rookie, I would say, in the entirety of the NFL in this simulation. Had a great year, over 1,000 yards rushing. And Saquon Barkley barely got over 1,000 yards rushing. So according to this one, it looks like Darius Guice is going to be the better running back in year number 1. But Julian Edelman, the receiver that I really didn't want to pick, ended up leading the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Absolutely mental. As we have Demarcus Lawrence, now a member of his division rival Philadelphia Eagles, lead the NFL with 20 sacks. As Deion Jordan with 12. That was kind of a surprise. And Joey Bosa on the Packers, and Jadeveon Clowney on the Colts with 11. And Janoris Jenkins on the Patriots led the NFL in interceptions. Now, dudes, it is time in the divisional round against the 8-8 Broncos. Is my Tennessee Titan fantasy draft team going to be able to win the Super Bowl? And we do get a win over the Broncos in the divisional round, advancing into the AFC Championship game. And it was relatively close, as we only won by 7, but all that matters is that we got the win. Now simming the conference championship game against the Chargers, and we did end up getting another win. So we are going to be taking on the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl, the best team record-wise in the NFL, who went 14-2. So record-wise, they got it right. The best 2 teams going up against each other in the Super Bowl. We only won by 3, so it's been extremely close, but can we get one more win over the team with the best record in the NFL? Can my Tennessee Titans and in the restarted NFL do the gosh dang thing one more time and become Super Bowl champions for the first time in franchise history? And we do, as we get once again another close victory over the Lions, 28-24, as every game was pretty ugly, but we did the dang thing as we did win the Super Bowl in the restarted NFL. So hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video, and if you did, make sure to drop a like. Be sure to subscribe if you are new. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any more Madden 19 uploads on the channel. With that said, I'll catch you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. God bless, and peace.